And opinions expressed during the related show are those of the show personalities and guest alone, and not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. With over 20 years of real estate experience and selling over 150 homes a year, Laura Sanders is the #1 RE/MAX agent in the state of Florida for 2021. Join us each week as we discuss how to make money through buying and flipping homes to renting versus selling and everything in between. To join the conversation, call in live 888-994-4995, Studio A.
Hi everyone, welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am Laura Sanders. Every week we talk about something that will help you make a little money, save a little money, or maybe just help you navigate this crazy world we live in. And boy, oh boy, I say it every week, it is a crazy world. We're dealing with real estate, we're dealing with debt, we're dealing with health and sickness and all kinds of crazy stuff. But today we're going to talk about appraisals. And I know agents, I know you're very interested in appraisals. I'm guaranteeing there's a lot of people that your sellers are making you hold out till you get that offer with the right amount. And then what? It doesn't appraise. So what do you do from there? So we're going to have Danielle Matthews with Empire Appraisals talk to us about pre-listing appraisals and even appraisals that you can get when you're thinking about selling and you want to do a little work. What is that going to look like? So welcome, Danielle.
Hi, Laura.
Hi. So we've had you on before.
Yes.
And you know, the market's ever changing. So as a result, I just feel like it's so important to have someone like yourself to kind of tell us what your suggestions are for sellers in this market, because I don't think they're listening.
They are not listening. Unfortunately, I'm getting those calls on a weekly basis from the realtors about their sellers that did do pre-listing appraisals but didn't agree with me. And months have gone by and the market has continued to change, and now they're just wondering what to do. And obviously my advice is get an updated appraisal.
Right. So if, let's use some numbers, right? That you give them a 450 appraisal 5 months ago. We're talking that 450 now could be anywhere from 1 to somewhere 3%, I would say, right? Maybe sometimes you see a 0.5%, but typically I haven't seen a lot of 0.5%. What have you seen?
I've seen anywhere from 0.5% to 2.5% per month decline. And it really just depends on not just the neighborhood, but the type of property. Townhouse, single family, condo, they could all be in the same neighborhood, but the condo declining
faster
more than the townhouse, and the townhouse declining more than the single family. Absolutely.
Okay. So if the townhome's run by an HOA versus a condo, and which a lot of people don't understand that, right? Because just because it looks like a townhome doesn't mean it's a townhome.
Yes.
It could be a condo, even though it's 2 stories and it looks like a townhome. So people have to be very careful about that. But when you're talking about 1% per month, right? Let's just use an easy number, right? And it's 450. Probably should have used 500. Would have been an easier number, right?
Sure.
Okay. So 500, 5 months ago, right? You gave them a 500 appraisal 5 months ago. They said to their realtor, nope, I want you to put it for 550.
Yes.
They're now reduced to 525. You came in at 5, right? 1% for 5 months is 25,000. So they're now worth 475. Now they're at 525. What are they doing?
Wasting everyone's time.
And chasing their tail, and typically firing their realtor.
Yes.
And it takes about, I would say, on average, 3 realtors before you get it.
Yes. That's what I'm seeing.
Right, yeah, you go see it go off the market, on the market, off the market. And then give you an example, I had a guy that his house was a mess. And I told him he had boxes everywhere. He goes, well, you know, when I bought during COVID, you told me that, you know, it's like, that was a different time. So now the next realtor comes in and they tell him to do everything I did, and now he's listening. And I don't even know what to say other than told you so.
Yes. Yes. We are not in the COVID market anymore.
Yeah, that ship has sailed and you've decided not to get on the boat.
Yes.
So you're saying now realtors are calling you, asking you to come back again
And
or
update.
update the appraisal. Now, if I get an appraisal from you, and I say to you, can you do an update? What would you usually charge for an update?
It depends on the property, but it's typically half of
that.
what I did
Okay.
the first time.
But it's a whole new report.
It's a whole new report because now we're talking, it's 5 months later, it's 6 months later, the market's changed. We're gonna need all new comps because now 3 more units in your building sold, and now the listings are listed even lower than they were before. So it's very important that we do fresh, we start fresh. But most importantly, it's important for me to run it through my software, which calculates the rate of decline or increase from date of contract to the effective date. So I can ballpark it, but I honestly don't know exactly until I import the comparables into the software with the current date, and let's see what it's done. Because maybe it was declining 0.5% the last time we did it, and here we are 5 months later, and now we're declining at 1.2% a month.
What I also noticed was, just because I'm very active in the market, right, is that I had you do an appraisal for one of my clients in Weston. Now, it's funny, that same property where you said Weston was actually a stable market, it's funny because, is it? And I say that because they had an offer a few months before for $300,000 more than what we ended up buying it for.
Okay.
So although it might be stable, people are not willing to pay what they were willing to pay before. People are all looking for a good deal.
Well, not only that, maybe you were the only thing available with those features, that bedroom count, that view, those impact windows at that time. And now there's more inventory to choose from, and people are able to take a pause and say, you know what, now I have 4 houses to choose from in my price point, or with pools and impact windows, or new roofs and impact windows. So I don't need to make a decision on you today, and maybe I put multiple offers out there and see who comes back, you know, and I get the best deal. So there might be more inventory now.
Right, right. So with all that being said, right, as far as talking about inventory, talking about pricing coming down, I guess there's another thing that happens, right? I find, now I could be wrong, you're out and about as well as I am. Do you feel that homes are just not updated? A lot of homes are not updated?
I feel like a lot of people that are putting their homes on the market right now have owned them for a longer period of time, possibly. You know, the buying and the selling all happened during those couple of years that people were, you know, fix it up and sell it for top dollar, whereas maybe this is a 15-year owner and they think it's updated, and yet it's dark brown cabinets and hardwood dark brown floors and
I think
wallpaper.
I think white cabinets sell for more than dark.
I agree.
You know, and people, I feel like I didn't get to where I'm at because I don't know what I'm talking about, but people, they don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I know.
They just don't want to hear it. So what would you, if you were going to give a realtor a piece of advice in this business, what would you give them? We're going to go to commercial break, but when we come back, what kind of advice would you give in the real estate industry as an appraiser to realtors? Or how can you help other than pre-listing? I know you can help with putting work into a property and seeing what it would be worth by putting that in. So you could do as is versus repair, which is really important. But when we come back, we'll find out what you think realtors should be doing and how you can help them. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
At JK Closing Attorneys, we do all of the same things that a title company does, but with the benefits of being a law office. We can help with residential real estate, short sales, commercial real estate, refinances, 1031 exchanges, and FRIPTA withholding.
Contact JK Closing Attorneys today at 954-332-3111. Again, that is 954-332-3111.
Priority One Credit Union of Florida is a welcoming credit union that makes your financial success our #1 priority. We offer lower loan rates, higher deposit rates, and common sense local loan approvals, with nationwide access through shared branching.
Hi, I'm Dina Hennessy, President and CEO at Priority One Credit Union. We are open to the community. Anyone can be a member of our credit union, and we would love to have you.
Contact us today at 954-335-5100. You can also reach us at PriorityOneFL.org. Your financial success is our priority. That's 954-335-5100.
You have been watching Making Money with Laura. For more information, contact Laura Sanders at 954-650-0827 or visit her website at thelaurazell.com. And now back to the show.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. I'm here today talking about appraisals and what is going on in the market and how we can help you as realtors or as sellers to get the most money possible. If you're looking for a top agent, I'm here, Laura Sanders, 954-650-0827. I do all of Broward, all of Palm Beach, and some of Miami-Dade, and no habla español, but I can find you somebody that does. And also, some of the other things that I find really important is that if you are thinking about promoting your business, you want to be in a networking group or you want to be on the radio, definitely give me a call at 954-650-0827. I want to help you grow your business as much as you want to help me grow my business. So call me, Laura Sanders, Remax Direct, 954-650-0827. So with me here today is Danielle. Danielle, what is the best number for people and the best website for you?
It's really easy. It's appraiserdanny, DANI.com. And you can reach me by cell, text, 954-263-1312.
Awesome. And as far as Instagram, you do a lot of Instagram stuff, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I try to post daily on Instagram. It's Appraiser Danny. Appraiser_Danny, DANI.
And we should all try to talk her back into the purple car. She was the lady running all around Broward with the purple car.
With my stuff all over it,
Yeah.
yep.
Actually, she's up in Palm Beach too. So if you're looking for a pre-appraisal in Palm Beach, Miami-Dade, or Broward, she's your girl. Appraiser Danny, she can definitely help you. So I know that we want to talk about some things that you can offer to realtors, that you can help them, right, to help get out of this rut, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I will say, I think that it's important for the realtors, when it's a realtor doing the appraisal, for the sellers to find out, are you open? Are you open to listening? Because as you've said before, you have agents that come back 5 months later. Also, they can't be offended. They can't be offended if you tell them, hey, your house smells like smoke. Hey, your house smells like cat pee, right? You're the appraiser. You're coming in as an outsider. You don't smell their house every day. They smell their house every day. Today, I had a conversation with a client. When the feedback first comes back and the feedback says, I smell cat, I smell dog, X, Y, and Z, right? First time, I let it slide. I tell them the feedback, I go, but don't freak about it yet. Let's see what the reoccurring theme is, right? Okay. So today, I got feedback on a listing that I have. So I said to the owners, I said, listen, you have carpet in your house. Let's go ahead and let's start first by changing the primary bedroom, we're not allowed to say master anymore, primary bedroom with laminate. And she said, okay. I said, we have been doing the same thing over and over. We need to stop insanity. Because now we've reduced the price and people are coming in and they're going, I smell cat, this. I've had people mention about animals. So over time, carpet starts to exude the smell of animal.
Agreed.
So she calls me back today and she says, Laura, we're going to change all the bedrooms with laminate. So I'll come back to everybody and let you know how this turns out, if this was the right move, because I think that if you keep doing the same thing over and over, it's a little bit like insanity and you have to stop it somewhere. So,
yes.
What are your recommendations to our agents to get them to where they need to be?
So I always recommend, obviously, bringing in an appraiser because I'm a disinterested third party. I'm not making a commission on the deal. I don't care what you end up selling for. I don't care if you get 500 or 550 or 580. It makes no difference to me. My pay does not depend on that. So I come in and I can, give you the honest answer if your house smells, and I recently offended somebody with that. But it needed to be said. It smelled like animals and cigarettes. And if you don't smell it, are you going to wait for the buyers to tell you?
So let's stop there for a minute, right? Because I don't feel, I think that when you put your report, and you send the report out, you hit send, right, on the button. And you say, Mr. Seller, your house is worth $450. However, I think it's going to be very difficult to get $450 if it continues to smell like cigarettes and animal smell. That will decrease the value, and that will be determined upon by the buyer.
Yes, that's a market-derived adjustment because...
But you're not giving that in this is what your house is worth, Mr. Seller. But if you continue to allow it to smell like this is what will happen.
How I usually address that is if I didn't have the conversation with them at the property, then in the email,
to do, but.
Yeah, it can be, but some people are open to it. So usually in the report, I will say something along the lines of, there was a strong odor of pets or cigarettes or body odor or whatever in your house.
Funny, I smelled body odor in a closet the other day, which means they're putting dirty clothes back into the closet.
But I will tell them, listen, we don't go in the comparables. I do sometimes. Sometimes I've appraised.
Well, boys' rooms are
all
bad.
The comparables.
Boys' rooms are bad.
Yes.
I have boys, and I'm constantly. It's been good now because I go in there, but like if I don't go in for like 2 weeks, I'm like, ooh, boy smell.
So I will follow up in an email and say there was this issue, whether it was your dirty carpet or your bedroom floors that were at their life expectancy or the odor. And that potentially could have an impact on the sale of your house. And depending on, when you list it, because some people hire me 2-3 months in advance.
That's silly.
I agree. But I will always say yes, and you do what you want. But, that this could be something that is an issue going forward. And be sure to listen to your buyer feedback and ask for buyer feedback, because if you're not getting buyer feedback, then you don't know what your weaknesses are.
I get buyer feedback. I call. Sometimes they don't return your call, right? But I call on every single deal looking for buyer feedback so that I can kind of figure out like what's going on.
Yes, I think it's important.
It is. And that's why I tell people, like, sometimes you hear like the first, like I had somebody that said, and even the girl that worked for me said, oh, it smelled like cat piss. And I like went in there today and I was like, no, it smells like mothballs. Like, and that's okay.
Right.
Right.
But that's one of the things that I assist with. But another thing realtors can use me for is measuring service. So maybe you feel confident in your pricing, or your seller is hard and fast at, listing at 585. If you're not sure on the square footage, they've put an addition on, or they're telling you, nope, this house is 1,800 square feet.
You cannot put that in the MLS without having documentation.
Documentation. So you can put it in the MLS if you have a sketch from an appraiser with the calculations that show the living area is this, the garage is this, the porch is this, because tax records put it all together. And sometimes those enclosed porches are given credit as living area, and sometimes they're given credit as living area when they shouldn't be. And I had that issue recently in North Lauderdale, where tax included 2 rooms of his house that were considered Florida rooms. But when I got there, he had windows and sliding glass doors to that area of the house. Mm-hmm. That's not living area. Those sliding glass doors need to come out. Those windows need to come out. Those tracks need to be covered. Put floors flush.
Really?
You cannot have a sliding glass door into that back room in Tamarack, North Lauderdale, Lauderdale Lakes, all the places that have, those houses built in the 50s and 60s that have a Florida room. There cannot be a sliding glass door to access that space. as living area. The doors need to be removed, and the tax needs to reflect that it's not just a porch, that it's an FR, Florida room, in order for that to be counted as living space.
Crazy. Well, and again, what is a good number for people to reach out to you?
954-263-1312.
You know, people are always jumping into the show. They're not listening to everything, and then they're like, let me get this person's information. And, you know, it's really important. You don't want to have to listen to the whole entire show. We know the gist of the show. The show is that get an appraisal before you put it to market. Why would you want to chase the market? 1% at 500,000, it could be, what if it's 3%? I've actually seen 2% from April to now.
Yes.
That's a lot of money, and you want to preserve everything you can. The ship sailed 2 years ago. If you didn't get on the boat, the ship 2 years ago, that's sailed. Like, you've got to move forward with what we have now. Do you really need to sell? You know, I get it. If you have a low interest rate, why would you want to sell?
Yeah.
There's a lot to think about.
Yeah. I always tell people, typically your house is your most expensive asset. And for usually less than $500, you spend $500 just going out on the weekend. So for less than $500, have
No,
a
you're not leaving
professional
anything on the table.
come out and give you guidance from the start, not at the point where you have a buyer, your house is packed, you're ready to go, and boom, you're $50,000 short, and therefore you're not going to have enough money to buy the next house that you think you're buying. So wouldn't you rather get that reality check from the beginning when you're thinking, I'm going to put my house on the market, I'm moving out of state, all these wheels are in motion, and you have these big hopes and dreams. And to be honest, not everybody is Laura, and they're not educated on the comps. And if you have a realtor that really doesn't understand your market, they could be misleading you and wasting your time. So I always recommend.
Sometimes it's the sellers misleading us, and I'm trying to tell people, like, listen, we could try a little higher, let's see what happens, but we got to move fast. And a lot of times, like, you know, I had one lady, she got an offer, and then she tells me afterwards, she's like, oh yeah, I was like, no, you actually told me that you thought that the offer was more. I was like, what? You know, it's a hard job. It's a very hard job, I have to say. So, you know, we're trying to navigate this new market, and it's not done. It's not done declining, is it?
No, I don't think it is.
How much longer do you think?
I don't predict the future, and I never try to predict that, because as soon as I say, oh, this could go on for another 3 years, it could change in a year. You never know.
Listen, I never thought in 2009 and 10, I never thought we would go 50% of the values. I mean, do you think we'll get that? I think we'll see short sales.
I see short sales already. I do. And even though sometimes I'm like, what? How are they short selling? Because they bought at that time and they overpaid in 2021, 2022. And I've seen people that have let the house go, as far as they bought it high and then they couldn't afford the repairs, a roof being one of them.
But they could go and do like the Y green for the roof. I don't recommend Y green for impact, but I do for a roof. If you have to do it, you have to do it.
Yeah,
you know,
I
your
do
roof
too.
is your roof, right? And you know, but also be careful about, and we'll always talk with Brandon on insurance about whether or not, you know, when it comes down to, I'm like, I just totally, welcome to 50.
Roof age and,
yeah,
and all
so you
that.
can get insurance up to 50 years with Citizens as long as it's in good condition. So please don't be brainwashed into believing things that aren't true. You know, there's no reason to replace a roof that isn't leaking. There's none.
Agreed. And you also shouldn't be putting solar on your 12-year-old shingle roof. I saw that yesterday.
So, and that's another problem.
I know.
That's another problem, because if you do that to your roof, right? And they need to remove it, then the company has to remove it. Otherwise, you void the warranty. And I will say, half of these companies go out of business.
Yep.
You know, once they grab your money, just to tell you, there was a famous person on one of these shows that does like flipping houses, reached out to me because I was in the top 200 agents in the New York Times for the United States. He reached out to me and said to me, you can actually make $4,000 to $5,000 per customer that you refer to us for solar. That's how much money is in this.
Oh, I know.
And he reached out to me because he knows that I have a huge database, and I said, I'm sorry, but I don't believe in that.
Yep.
And I'm not going to do it. So we have 1 second left for us to tell them who we are, but I really want you to tell people about the value of solar before we leave.
It really doesn't have any value.
Right. So you've heard it from the horse's mouth.
Sorry.
A horse. So again, Laura Sanders Remax Direct, 954-650-0827 or lauracell.com, or reach out to Danny the Appraiser at
954-263-1312, appraiserdanny.com.
check out her Instagram, and you can tell her and send her messages, get your purple car back. And until next Thursday, thank you always for listening to Making Money with Laura Sanders. Have a great night.
Thank you for tuning in for Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. To join the conversation, call us at the studio, 888-994-4995 Studio A, or contact Laura directly at 954-650-0827. Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. We look forward to seeing you next week.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
At Coriander, we bring you simplified yet elevated Indian food.